basement. Level vibes with another one. Straight up. Blackness, aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop.
Mr. Watts, he is armed himself shots. Shots, watch it, tear gas. Light rounds. Also, I can see that.
Just for Quendon! The man is a boxer, man. I like your put in the boxer, man, to do that.
But since my cousin there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to you.
Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger heads come up to talk to my family. Right? And that's bad.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, The phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Mr. Mark, I believe every word of what Mr. Shu is saying. I am also afraid of Mr. Shu. Mr. Shu, if you are listening, I don't want anybody to harm you. This is a serious thing. Corruption is big. And we Chinese have to stop that. Been bullied by Jack Dale and other government officials to pay bribe. It's big all over Guyana. A Chinese to pay by bribe. Mr. Shu, I hope you to stay strong. Do not. We respect and salute you for your bravery, for coming up and speak against corruption in Guyana. Thank you, Mr. Shu. We appreciate you, Mr. Mark. 马克，我相信每一句苏先生说的话。我现在很担心苏先生。苏先生，如果你在听我说话，我不想任何人威胁你。圭亚那政府腐败很严重，这个是。
And you're confident that you're going to deliver credible and fair elections?
Of course. Only one way I...
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. Yeah, Sam. PPP all the way. Yeah, one Guyana. Yes.
Go in the fort for Monday morning.
In any weather, rain, sun.
We are here.
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have
Guyana really nice. Guyana. It's a nice place.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott.
All right, hey, guess what? Good evening. It's 10 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm a little bit late. I have to rush out. Usually Guyanese time is different from others' time. You can live out of Guyana for 147 years. And it's basically the same thing. And it's the same excuse too. Man, you know how we just do it in Guyana. Look, we've got to get with the program. My apologies. We're not late. We started on time, but we just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to share the link. And so forth and so on. Rhonda Lane is saying she got a badge. Well, you are welcome, Rhonda. And for those of you who are getting your badges and so forth and so on, just know that I believe that is how Facebook operates. It's a generic thing. I don't know, but it just happens just like that. Facebook does a lot of weird things, right? They block people. And look, let me take this clung off for a couple of seconds so that you guys can see my face, right? Look, whenever someone is blocked, we announce it right here. We don't have to beat around the bush and hide and block people. If someone is blocked, we block them. All of the trench crappers who come with their nonsense, we block them. There's no apologies for that because we are not going to allow the trench crappers and those other people with their agenda to come here and divert attention. It is not going to happen at all. And anytime you guys see a trench crapper, I know you guys protect this village, right? This is a village that we've got to protect, and we protect our people within this village. This is a huge village. We do not allow anybody to curse or disrespect anyone in this village. They are blocked, or you just don't see them again. They are blocked, or you just don't see them again. And therefore, whenever someone comes, these trench crappers, and they disrespect, right, Betsy, freeze, we freeze them. We freeze their account. They're no longer allowed on here. Now, we're not saying that people are not entitled to a different view, right, Ramrati Jack dear? And when I say Ramrati, I don't call that person Ramrati Jack dear. There's actually a real person, Ramrati Jack dear. And I know Ramrati personally. Ramrati has been in this struggle for a long time. Good evening to you, my friend. Please give my regards to your family. Now, let's continue here now. If they disrespect, as Charmin Blackman say, or some, no disrespect, and you step up, you must get mash up. Good evening to all of you guys. It's the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day for all those of you in the U.S., all across the U.S. Happy Independence Day, 4th of July, right? Fireworks. Well, this is our fireworks this evening. Lincoln Lewis, we are told, the veteran trade unionist is already here. Have you guys ever seen Lincoln Lewis with a shirt and tie and suit? Well, you might be surprised this evening. You might be surprised this evening, right? Lincoln Lewis has been in the struggle, as we would say, for donkey years. This is a man who committed himself to the struggle. And we've got to take our hats off. We've got to salute Lincoln Lewis. I want to ask him, I'm not going to have him for the entire 1 hour and these sort of things. We know he has had a busy schedule. But we just want to ask him in terms of CARICOM, where we are, and so forth. Then we will be joined by Shalon Washington. She is going about this particular issue. I have some questions for her. If you haven't seen it already, go on to this is going to be the #1 online. It's already there. The credibility is top notch. The Village Voice. You've got to be there. A balanced newspaper, a balanced online newspaper. I don't know why people don't like to support or even advertise and so forth. They're afraid to advertise. They're afraid to support. Support. You have a business, advertise in the Village Voice. How do you think the Village Voice is going to have a voice? And the Village Voice is not only a voice for the people who are behind the Village Voice, it's a voice for the village. It is a voice for you. Why do you, anyways, you guys got to support. Share the link. Some of you believe in sharing and inboxing me something from PPP propaganda, whether it's newsroom. I don't want to hear from those. Don't share those things with me, please. Share the Village Voice, guys. Come on. Come on, let's be reasonable. Share the Village Voice. Now, look, this is what the Village Voice is reporting, something most of you already heard. DPP advises police to drop rape case against Dharam Lal. Drop rape case against Dharam Lal. It means that it is done with, it is finished with. In other words, the DPP saying, don't bring back that. Don't come back with stupidness. She's done with it. That's according to them. They're saying it's stupidness. Majority of Guyanese are saying no, that Dharam Lal should have been charged. Should have been charged. He should have been in jail tonight. He should have been probably, sorry, but in the hammock somewhere in jail with Baba or whoever. He should have been there. But because the lack of confidence in the justice system, a corrupt justice system, a corrupt install regime headed by a man who was once charged 19 fraud charges. Ruth, if you're listening, and Ruth is an honorary Guyanese, if you're listening, 19 fraud charges. He sits there, quote unquote, as the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And do you guys expect anything better? Honestly, I'm looking at some of your comments. You don't tell me that you expected that Dharam Lal was going to be charged. Hell no. If you were expecting that, well, tell me that you were expecting him to be charged, and let us throw you in the trench right now. Whether you have been watching us for a long time, if you expected Dharamlal to have been charged, let me throw you guys in the trench right now, right? But look, some of you have been told by some people, let the system work. Well, the system work, but not in the favor of the people. The system has worked in the favor of the corrupt individuals. And we know who all these corrupt people are. Oh my gosh. I just need a glass of water right now. It's getting hot in here. The fireworks. And later on, yep, we will be joined by Caesar as well. But let's get on to, let's see what, operator lied to me. I thought for a moment that we had Lincoln Lewis with a shirt and tie on. That's not the case at all. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't want to say I'm disappointed. Mr. Lewis, good evening and welcome. We have Shalon Washington, who's just about to tell our operator, I'm here. Okay, we see that Miss Washington is indeed here. So, Mr. Lewis, good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, viewers. I am happy that I have been able to celebrate CARICOM Day, observe it, in fact, yesterday, 50 years, and I'm looking forward for another 50.
50 years, gosh, 50 years of CARICOM. That's a little creeping up to Miss Shalon Washington's age. Good evening, Miss Washington. How are you?
Good night, Mark. Good night, all the listeners. I don't know, maybe Mark is giving the audience his age, but that has nothing to do with me. Anyway, I'm doing well, and I'm celebrating 4th of July here. So you might hear the fireworks maybe in the background. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we're here to have our fireworks. It seems as though every time Mr. Lewis is on, you're on, the two of you. Oh, gosh, I got to give you guys credit, taking time out of your busy schedule to even join us here and talk with the people. Let's get down. I know we want to deal with the issue with the DPP and what the DPP did, which is not a surprise at all. But I want to touch on Lincoln Lewis. We're not going to have him for the entire 1 hour. I'm not going to be on anything over an hour. It's fireworks night tonight. Fireworks. Fireworks. 4th of July fireworks. Mr. Lincoln Lewis, what is your take? You did say not so long ago, a couple of days ago, you did say, let's get to your comment in the Village Voice. Lewis tells misguided Ali, administrative leave not applicable to Dharamlal. He must be fired. Lincoln, in light of this news again, breaking news from Village Voice, DPP advises police to drop rape case against Dharamlal. I know this evening you're here to talk about CARICOM, but let us get your take on this as we start the program this evening.
Let me say to you, Mark, the job of the minister is a job where the citizens need to have confidence in him or her. There must be a question of confidence. This is not the only way you can measure a minister. You don't write an appraisal. You don't be appraised primarily by boss or the president. He's appraised by the citizenry. And if a sizable portion of the citizens in this country, maybe 50% of the citizens are saying this guy cannot be trusted. It's a question of trust. Then the most decent thing the president can do is to relieve him of his duty, let him go. This is not a president house that he runs. This is the people's business, paid by our tax dollars. So I can't understand when this guy was saying that he asked to go on, he has requested to go on administrative leave. Who the hell tell you you can request to administrative leave? You are entitled to vacation. You are entitled to sick leave. But when it comes to administrative leave, when an allegation is made against you, you don't have a choice to say you are going on it. It's a boss who needs to say that you need to leave. You can go on it. In the first instance, Ali has abrogated his duties as president to allow his subordinate to tell him, to request of him that he don't administratively. They don't understand it. And even if they don't understand it, I don't believe it's a question of really that they do not understand. I believe it's a question where they don't care. Whenever one commits an infraction, what they attempt to do is to rally around that person. Rally around that person. You're not going anywhere. Together we will remain here. A couple of days ago, the man was in some church in Queenstown. He and the other one, whose name has been mentioned in that 1970 something killing on a dam. Let me tell you. And I am sorry, that there wasn't some lightning that licked them down inside here. These guys are wicked. They now move from where they're committing all these violations and transgressions, and they're running into our church. Who praying for them? Let them face the music outside. I am tired of these pastors who believe they can use the church to cover up the sins and the violations, transgressions that are committed by public officials. Something has to be done about it. Maybe the church has lost its way. I am still a member of an Anglican church, but I'll tell the bishop of the Anglican bishop, the day he decide to walk the road that these guys are walking, they will see me in front of his, in Main Street. You will see me with a picket in front of you. Right? We have to stop this thing. We cannot allow men to butcher the, young women in this country, and yet at the same time protect them. The law is made for everyone, not for the rich and the privileged. And that is why I will always remain in an organization that protects advance the right regardless of the political situation.
Thank you so much, veteran trade unionists. We're hearing lots of fireworks. It's not coming at my end. Fireworks for us is in the studio. The person who is smiling the loudest on the screen, certainly it's coming from that direction, I assume. But that's okay, Ms. Washington. Ms. Washington, attorney at law, always a pleasure to have you with us. We are also joined by Mr. Wayne Caesar. Mr. Caesar, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening to Mr. Lincoln Lewis, and of course, to our very special attorney, Miss Shellon Washington. Good evening to you too, ma'am, and to our listeners and viewers also. Good
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're celebrating 4th of July as well, and right off the heels of your mom's birthday. We'll get back to that. Miss Washington, Mr. Lewis, Lincoln Lewis did say that the church seemed to have lost its way. You are also, a lot of people probably can't remember, but you're also a pastor. Do you subscribe to that view that the church in Guyana has lost its way?
What he's saying has a lot of credibility and merits to it. I see a lot of the pastors, especially I see Bishop Edghill sits in Parliament, and the way he treats those who are not in support of his politics or his political view is not in accordance with the Bible, period. I've seen a video with Edghill literally refusing to offer aid to a flood victim while he was on the ground assisting in handing out, hampers to other flood victims from a flood that had happened. I think it was in Kokwani or Ichuni, wherever that was. But the fact is, a lot of them appear to have lost their moral compass. and they've lost their way in terms of recognizing that even if you want to engage in any political view one way or the other, and you want to hold that Bible and sit on the pulpit as a bishop, a minister, a pastor, whatever, you first have an obligation to God to do what is morally and ethically correct. Then your obligation is to the people of Guyana. If you don't understand the distinction and you don't know how to keep it level and keep your moral compass to guide you, then you're not serving the purpose of being in the church. You need to drop one and hold the other. And I think a lot of those ministers, pastors, preachers, whoever they are, they're condoning immorality, and they're still going to the pulpit and wants to hold that Bible and tell the people what they should do. If you're engaging in immorality, you have got to go. You have no business in the church. If you want to be engaged in PPP politics, maybe that's the place for you, because the PPP politics is full, riddled with immorality. So yeah, I agree to a large extent with what Mr. Lewis is saying.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Miss Washington. We appreciate that. A lot of people didn't realize that you're actually a pastor too, and a very successful lawyer as well. Let's head over to, before we get back to Lincoln, as we touch on CARICOM, let's get to Caesar. Wayne Caesar is an accountant. Outside of that, he's also a deacon. And a lot of people didn't know that. You think, Mr. Caesar, that the church has lost its way when it comes to standing up and speaking out against injustices in Guyana?
Yes, Mark, I would 100% agree with Mr. Lewis and Miss Washington's comments in relation to the church. Yes, the church has lost its way. We had the bulldozing at Mocha, we had the bulldozing at Hillfoot. You didn't see anyone from the church there outside of probably Mr. Nigel London, Mr. Cleveland Thomas, and these guys who are the usual suspects on the ground when these type of things occur. Outside of that, I could recall that Irfan Ali had called a meeting to meet all the pastors and religious leaders in Guyana, and they were all there. It was majority of them were there, Mark. I don't know whether they're receiving any kind of funds from the government or what the case may be, because a lot of stuff happens under the table that we are totally unaware of because it happens behind closed door. But if that's the case, it's a complete failure to the churchgoers of these ministries and a complete failure to the people of Guyana. Because with all this government has been doing to the people of Guyana, I have not seen the church come out as one body, to reject, what the government is doing and to speak on behalf of the people. The church is supposed to be one body, and I have not seen that as yet. I haven't seen the church really come out and spoken out since this government has been in place, and this government would have committed a lot of atrocities against the people of Guyana outside of those few pastors that would have came out, including Pastor Anil Sugrim. To the rest, I say shame on you.
Shame on you indeed, Deacon. Caesar, we also have Sharon James with us. Sharon James on the ground, a pastor also. Sharon James has been very, very busy on the ground. And she's saying here, the church is holding hands with wicked PPP, the devil, plenty false prophets in Guyana. Let me say amen to that, coming from Apostle Mark Benchop. Amen to that. Let's head back to, I agree, but let us say, as Caesar mentioned earlier, there are some folks who are out there speaking out. I saw Mr. Yearwood, Reverend Yearwood was out there. And we have others who are out there who are speaking out. But we need to see these churches, these pastors, these reverends, these pandits, these magis, and so forth and so on. We're not seeing them. They're hiding. Maybe because they're eating the king's meat. CARICOM, celebration, CARICOM. As we got here, Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford and Member of Parliament says, 50th anniversary of CARICOM must find us more committed to ideals of founding fathers. Mr. Lewis, have we lost our way with CARICOM?
I don't believe the people have lost their way. I believe, in fact, that the leaders have dropped the ball. The current, our integration process in this Caribbean started way back in 1926 with Critchlow and others, who called at that time for one man, one vote. And they fought for universal adult suffrage. And they called for Guyana and West Indian Federation. In 1926, the first conference that they've had in Georgetown. So you have had the West Indian Federation as another one where we had, after we have had the question of internal self-government. And then after we have had, we moved to independence, we moved to have the way you call it, the current integration process, which was preceded by the Dickinson Bay Agreement between Burnham, Board, and Barrow, and that led to the Treaty of Chaguaramas. Let me say to you that there are a number of things. The CARICOM is about people, as I always say. It is about people, people's development. It is about harnessing the cultural, economic, political resources, both human and otherwise, to be exploded for the benefit of this people of this region. What we have done over the years, in fact, let me give you some specific examples. We talk about free movement in CARICOM. And when we talk about free movement, the implementation of free movement has taken so long that the people have moved. But the leaders, the political leaders who need to implement, they have not made the decision about free movement.
If you can stick a pin there, please, Lincoln, and I do apologize for interrupting you. And I really do apologize as we go to this breaking news story. And you guys can anticipate what this breaking news story is. Nigel Dharamlal has resigned. He has tendered his resignation as a member of parliament. He has tendered his resignation as a minister of the regime. And we're getting the news that Irfan Ali has accepted his resignations. One, as member of parliament, and the second, as a minister of the regime. So he is gone. He's no longer a member of parliament.
He ain't gone back. Mark ain't gone. I know the PPP. They're going to pay him.
They may send
They're going to pay him all the benefits. I will see coming as an advisor somewhere.
No,
he getting paid.
What Lincoln, remember, and Shalon Washington and Mr. Cease and all our listeners, remember there's an opening for a high commissioner in India. But let me say kudos to folks like you, Lincoln, Attorney Washington, Caesar, and all others who have been calling for this. You guys have held strong to your belief, and it paid off. And the protest has paid off as well. And I want to also say kudos to Attorney and Member of Parliament Roysdale Ford for that, and all of the people who have protested daily, Simona Brooms and others, daily. Simona Brooms, Lurley Nestor, and others. Kudos to those individuals. Again, the breaking news is Nigel Dharamlal has resigned as Member of Parliament and also a minister of the PPP regime, a minister of the regime. Again, that's the breaking news story. Lincoln, sorry for the interruption. Let's get right back to you and CARICOM, unless you have something to add to that, this breaking news story, briefly.
I would want to say that the question is not the resignation alone. He must not be paid from the coffers of the state. Let me tell you this. If anybody had done so, then that person, a clerk or a nurse or a normal public servant, that person would not have had a job. You have seen what they have done to. They have set certain standards, like with Calvin London. They have gone to the extent where they have been saying to international, every time people he applies for a job somewhere, they come up, they say to the people them that you seek to rob the government of Guyana, right? He has not been, he has not committed. Some of the cases that guy has been dragged in front of the court for, they were dismissed at the higher court, in the high court, but they are holding charges against him, criminal charges at the lower court. These guys, what standards they're setting for other people, they must face it. I expect him to come back. I know the PPP. I expect them to bring him back in some other form, or they quietly pay him, and so be it. We should come out in one chorus and demand that he don't be paid from the national coffers. I want to before I move out from this, I want to commend the ladies who stood up at the forefront, followed by the men, or the men standing next to them. The ladies I'm talking about is Brooms and what's her name? Who came from the States?
Nestor.
Huh?
Lurley Nestor.
Lurley Nestor, the two of them, those women are strong. And, I always believe that in any revolution, women are important. They are the people who will break the backbone of any back that is too strong for men to push down. I like them. I love them.
Well said. Well said,
right?
Lincoln. And I say kudos to those as well. We've had some members of parliament out there with them. Ganesh Mahipal, Annette Ferguson. We've had the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Miss Dawn Hastings Williams as well, and scores of others every day, including Apostle Nigel.
Why identify those two women? I believe that those women, when they sleep in the night, they were haunted by the presence of Dharam Lal in the cabinet. They were haunted. Absolutely. They're getting up in the morning and be out there, rain or sun. They are outside there.
And I agree with you, Lincoln, 100%. And they're out there for the struggle. They're not out there for the likes and the take a quick selfie and beat up. They're out there for the struggle. Miss Washington, sorry to keep you guys a little bit away from this subject matter. Your take, ma'am, you're an attorney. You've been speaking out from the legal standpoint of things. You have a brilliant article in today's yesterday's Village Voice as well. Your take on this breaking news story that Nigel Darmlal basically has been fired.
I think it's something that is worth celebrating, and it shows what there is in strength when you come together and you fight for what you believe is ethically and morally upright and upstanding. It shows what the values of the people of Guyana, when they come together and they hold true to what they believe in and they fight for it, what we can accomplish. It's a small accomplishment. It's not exactly what we were looking for, but I think this is a great starting point. We've been asking for it, and we have gotten at least part of what we wanted. Nigel Dharamlal is now at a point where we know that he will not be holding any public office as of now. But I think we still have to be very cautious because, as Lincoln said, he's still a member of the PPP. So we don't know if there's a possibility that somewhere down the road they will try to sneak him back into office because, people's memory is very short lived. And I don't want the people of Guyana to have short lived memory. I want them to remember this. I want them to recall who Nigel Dharam Lal is. And I would like this to be in a permanent form. So generations to come, if they should hear the name Dharmalal at any time, at any public, in any public forum, we must know and we must shun this guy. This guy must never, ever in his lifetime again be allowed in any position where he can have control over young people, over our young children, in particularly teenage girls. He mustn't be allowed around them. And if the PPP still decides to keep him as a part of their political party, that's their prerogative. But we just must be vigilant and ensure that no time in the future this is never allowed. I mean, this is, like I said, it's just part of what we were asking for. We were not able to secure any type of hearing or trial in the criminal aspect of it, but at least some justice was done here by Dharam Lal resigning from his position in parliament and also as a minister of local government. But like I said, we still need to remain vigilant to ensure never again should he set foot in any public office.
Well said, Ms. Washington. Before we get back on the issue of CARICOM, this is the breaking news. Rape accused Nigel Dharamlal resigned from Parliament and as a Minister of Local Government. He has resigned. According to Irfan Ali, he has accepted the resignation, but we are seeing a bit of conflicting points here. Irfan Ali is saying that Nigel Dharamlal has committed to me that he'll continue to support the PPP. We are not bothered about that. But he said that he has advised that the allegations have affected him personally. Yeah, what about the victim? He is saying, however, Minister Dharamlal has advised that he will tender his resignation as the interest of the government is important, blah, blah, blah. But the last paragraph, he's saying here, Irfan Ali, now that we have received the advice of the DPP, the minister has asked to resign as member of cabinet and a member of parliament. So a bit conflicting here. He's saying that this guy, Dharamlal, was asked to resign, and then moments before that, he said that Dharamlal has resigned. Anyways, Mr. Caesar, your take. Any surprise at all?
Mark, I am not surprised. Because we have been pushing for this, we have been protesting, and I just want to start off by saying, I'm not really concerned with what Irfan Ali has to say right now, because Irfan Ali would have dropped the ball. This should have been done with immediate effect. So, in essence, he is late here. All right? When he did not move to do this, I recall Mr. Lewis putting out a statement. Also, Mr. Roysdale Ford, Shalom would have said the same thing. I would have said the same thing, and many others. And we have been protesting for his removal, hence the removal. It wasn't something that was automatic based on the allegations. If we did not protest, if we did not push for his removal, it would have never happened. Okay, so that being said, the PPPC would have dropped the ball. We're not giving them a pass here. And listen, while this is a small victory for us, I will not be satisfied until the entire government, you understand me, would have resigned. And I can't wait for 2025 for that.
Absolutely. Most Guyanese can't wait for that. Let's get back to Lincoln about, and now this is good news, but I agree with all three of you and maybe some of you in the audience as well, that the PPP is going to find something else for this vagabond, Dharamlal to do. My bet is they would probably send him off to India as Guyana's High Commissioner to India. That's my bet. I got $13 again in my wallet. $13. That's my bet. Lincoln, let's get back to CARICOM for a moment because I want to get back to the Daramnal situation with our attorney, Mr. Caesar. But I know that I promised you just a few minutes, but this was the breaking news. CARICOM again. Please pick up where you left off.
Let me just say to the. I believe, in fact, we have to a large extent do not understand CARICOM. A number of persons within the region have been saying CARICOM does nothing. And when they say CARICOM, what they do, they refer to the secretariat that have been meetings and what have you. But I tell you something that I have served as president of the Caribbean Congress of Labor for 6 years and 3 years as general secretary, 9 years. And I had the opportunity to deal with them. I believe that the secretariat of the CARICOM has done a tremendous job. They have done good work. And I believe that the who have that responsibility to implement. They have dropped the ball. What these guys, many a times you may have, you're talking about free movement of people, free movement of goods and other services. And let me give you an example. Free movement of people. We need workers in a place like Guyana. But we make it difficult for Asians to come. Well, Asians may not be a part of the CSME and the free movement, but rather than considering, when we are considering where we can draw from major pools for the oil and gas industry or the agriculture industry, it is not part of that. We prefer to go to South Asia, political purposes. We don't want the Asians. It is issues of that nature that is of concern. When under Eric Williams, we have seen Trinidad giving large credit of fuel to Guyana. He has given money to other CARICOM countries for the expansion of airports and other things, because he recognized as a founder member, the philosophy is to work to have whatever in the region must be for the benefit of the people of the region. What we don't do, we don't look at the people. Let me give you another example. Trinidad was the powerhouse in manufacturing in this region. We have seen a significant decline in Trinidad, in the manufacturing sector in Trinidad, through our own governments opening up the market to traders who pull things from China and destroy the manufacturing industry in Trinidad. When they do these type of things, what happens is that jobs are lost. Our skills are not properly utilized. Generations coming after, since there are no jobs, they turn to a life of crime. I'm raising this for you to understand the necessity of how important CARICOM is. This is not, some people, Guyanese will say, look here, when we go to Barbados and some other place, they used to put us on bench. Yes, those are political decisions. Those are not decisions that are grounded in the philosophy of CARICOM. We have to come back. And that's why I'm saying that the political leaders, they are the people responsible for the state that the region is in. Look, we getting fuel, we getting natural gas, we getting natural gas, we getting oil at this time. We getting those things. Why can we not go back to when Burnham Trinidad and Tobago Chambers and Michael Manley were talking about we get bauxite in Guyana and Trinidad, Guyana and Jamaica, but we have fuel. We got the oil in Trinidad. Why we don't establish a smelter to smelt the bauxite, move it from raw bauxite in the region into aluminum, right? That's what these guys were talking about, right? We have gas now, natural gas. Are we thinking about how we can, together with Trinidad and Guyana, how we can run a pipeline throughout the Caribbean, even to the northern Caribbean, and utilize the natural resource of this region for the people of this region? That's what CARICOM is there for. But the political leaders are the people who have to lead the way and put the secretariat in such a mode that the secretariat will do the requisite study, generate the plans, and they will adopt the programs to move this thing forward. I'm saying that CARICOM is alive, but many of our leaders are dead in their thoughts. Hold them accountable. Don't try with the secretariat. The secretariat are the technician, are the research, where you get the researchers and so forth. They are the people who can do the work. Don't blame them. CARICOM is not there. CARICOM ain't gone. CARICOM is right here, but it needs to be energized with new political thoughts. Thank you.
Absolutely. According to veteran trade unionists, CARICOM is alive. A lot of our listeners are saying CARICOM gone. CARICOM, CARI gone. The visionaries who were there are gone, and CARICOM is gone. But we'll get back to that, though. Thank you so much, Lincoln. We don't want you to go as yet. You can stick around with us because we're going to put CARICOM aside for now, because CARICOM has put us aside. We have a headquarters in Guyana, CARICOM's headquarters there in Guyana, with hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money being spent on CARICOM. And all of the general secretaries over the past probably 2 decades have been quiet on serious human rights violations in Guyana. And that is what people are angry about. So they may be alive, but people are not seeing any pulse. They're not seeing the CARICOM is not breathing at all. That is why people are saying CARICOM is dead. If you drive past Le Repentir Cemetery tomorrow, you'll see the grave that says CARICOM. It is right there. It is dead, Lincoln. I mean, I get your point, but it is dead. It's not breathing. It's not doing anything for us as it used to before. We've got to revive it somehow. I don't know how they're going to revive, or, I don't know what's going on. But CARICOM is a waste of time as of now. That's just my take, Lincoln. That's just my take, my friend. Miss Washington.
Mark, we will come back on that issue. We'll come back on that issue some other time.
No problem.
We will have to discuss CARICOM. And I'm not suggesting we do it tonight, but I will let us have some full-blown discussion about CARICOM's role, its objective. And
absolutely.
We will have to call out the leaders, the political leaders, because they are the people who have to do certain things.
And we certainly do have to call him out indeed. We go back to what Mr. Ford says, MP Ford says 50th anniversary of CARICOM must find us more committed to ideals of founding fathers, which is also identical to what you have been saying as well. Lincoln, are you going to stick around with us? Because we got some more fireworks tonight.
Mark, I will tolerate you for some time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nobody has ever done that to me. People tend to abuse me and say that I do this to this person and all kind of thing. People, especially when they're out protesting and they're not getting a little limelight, people blame me for all manner of things. Let's get back to Dharam Lal here. And thanks for your patience, Mr. Caesar and Miss Washington. Miss Washington, the DPP sent the file. The police sent the file back to the DPP. The DPP advises police to drop rape case against Dharam Lal. Can we get your take, please, on what the DPP did?
In the first instance, the entire situation with the way this file was handled is not necessarily in compliance with statutory requirements. As I've highlighted in my article that I've written, as it relates to the Sexual Offenses Act, which was amended in 2013, it clearly states that, the police, when there's an allegation of rape, the police task is to investigate. That's the first thing they do. They investigate those allegations. And then the second thing that they're supposed to do, if they found that there's any credibility in those allegations, is to lay charges, right? And then there's an alternative method that they could use, which they utilize only if there's a high-profile case. Because as you know, if the ordinary man is charged with rape, what the police does, they quickly go, they investigate, and they quickly lay charges without the file doesn't even reach the DPP's office. We know this. But in this instance, because the statute gives them the option to send the file over to the DPP if they don't lay charges, what they did is send it over to the DPP. And I think this was premeditated. I think they thought this through because they're dealing with Dharam Lal and they want to deal with this with kids' gloves. I don't believe the police really wanted to charge Dharam Lal. And what they did in the beginning is say, okay, we're going to put you on $1 million bail. Bail for what? Bail should only be given where you actually charge a defendant. And there was no charges against Dharam Lal. But yet they give the public a false impression that, hey, we're doing our job. And the police has the authority. They has the ability to lay charges against Dharam Lal. But I think they just did not want to take the chance, because if they had done that, that means that file would have gone before a magistrate instead of the DPP. And if the file had gone to a magistrate, we don't know which magistrate the file would have gone to. And then that particular magistrate who would have been reviewing the file, if that person wasn't in with the PPP, Dharam Lal would have been in serious hot water, because the statute clearly states that in the case of rape, when somebody is charged with rape, they don't need to do any preliminary inquiry. All that needs to be done is the magistrate reviews the file on the paper, review all of the evidence on the paper, and then he could straightway commit the accused to go stand trial. So the magistrate could easily make that decision. But then when it goes to the DPP, we know Shalmer Haque has a history. This is not something that she's done on this particular case, but we know she has a history of refusing to lay charges where the facts is clearly screaming charges should be laid. We know that there's numerous instances where high-profile cases got in her desk and she refused to lay charges. The file just gets buried somewhere and then we never hear again about that case. In this instance, this was deliberate, because all they were doing is trying to buy time to determine whether or not they would have gotten the accused to do not the accused, but the victim to do exactly what she did. She became frustrated because she wasn't sure what was happening. It was taking too long for charges to be laid, and she was confused. She probably was worried. agreeable. She's a very young victim, and this must have been very strainful, stressful on a young person like that to be worried, wondering what's happening with her case, and the police is sending the file when they had the authority to lay the charges against Darmla. So I think it was purposeful, everything that happened, and I am not at all surprised at Shalimar Hack's attitude towards this file, of taking the file, having it lie around for God knows how long, and then finally when the charges, when the accused person, when the victim says, I don't want to move forward, I don't want to proceed with this, then she gladly sends it back to the police and said, we don't need to take any further action because the victim is now refusing to continue with prosecuting this matter. This was all deliberate. And the people of Guyana are not blind, they're not fools. They're very intelligent. So they recognized what was happening here. It was just a ploy. It was a plot. It was a setup. And I told you guys this from day one. This was a setup, and the police never intended to do anything. Neither did the DPP intend to press any charge against Darmla. We should have, my only regret is that the victim decided to withdraw, because if she had left this, we would have seen exactly what I'm saying here tonight would have come to pass. Because you see now, they're sending the file for further investigation. Further investigation into what? What else do you think the police is going to come up with at this 10th minute? You know, there's a theory here in the United States. If a crime is not solved within the first 48 hours, it becomes a cold case. And that case is long gone a cold case. What else do the people of Guyana think the police would have been able to discover at this ninth moment? We know that the room was already painted. He repainted the room, and he would have had plenty time to cover his tracks, to go and pay the hotel, destroy the tape, or whatever else he could have done. The police had ample amount of evidence that charges should have been laid against Darmla, but this was very tactical on the part of the DPP and the part of the police.
And corrupt indeed. We all knew, and I agree with Attorney Washington that had this file gone right back to the DPP with more information, it would have ended up right where we are, that there is insufficient evidence, according to the DPP, to charge Darmlal. Corrupt indeed, corrupt process, corrupt agency, DPP. And I've seen that a lot of people are calling on the DPP to resign next. The DPP must resign. And go ahead, Mr. Lewis. Go ahead, sir.
Let me tell you what. My understanding that the Secretary of State for the United States can be here in the next 2 days for 4 hours. These guys are playing a game. They do not want the issue of Darmla be raised by the Secretary of State. They are of the view that people may have written the US government, and that matter may be one of the matters that we raise with them. So before it's being raised, they found a way not to charge him, find a way not to charge him, and just to get him out of the cabinet, to say to them, well, notwithstanding that the evidence, the lady has withdrawn the charges, we feel that as a government, we have a responsibility to the people of this country. And it is for that reason we have asked him to resign. They will do that.
Yeah.
This is the game. And we have to see it for what it is. That's what I want to say about it.
And I was going to ask that question to Mr. Caesar, you and Ms. Washington as well, because the visit of the U.S. Secretary of State has a lot to do with what we're hearing here. Kurt Fraser, thank you. Directions and diversion. Of course it is. Directions and diversion. Thank you, Kurt Fraser, all the way in New Amsterdam there. And lots of folks wrote to the State Department, indeed. A lot of Guyanese have called directly the hotline at the State Department as well. scores of individuals have written to the Secretary of State's office concerning the matter. So I want to agree with you 100% that this has more to do with the visit of the U.S. Secretary of State. Let's bring in Mr. Caesar Accountant. Caesar, your take, sir, on the entire matter and the visit of the U.S. Secretary of State and the resignation of Dharmlal. You think Blinken's visit to Guyana played a role in this, sir?
Mark, I would agree and said yes to that. That Blinken's visit to Guyana is playing a role with getting this Darmlal issue quote unquote solved. I mean, it in my book, it's not solved. I would say that Nigel Darmlal should not be receiving a pension. You see, these are things that the Guyanese people need to look into. They need to set the bar higher. You can't just have these people come in and taking up ministerial positions, not doing the job correctly, doing the wrong things out there, getting into trouble the way he has gotten into trouble with this alleged rape by this young woman, and then just be allowed to, resign and receive a pension. He should not receive a pension. Nigel Darmlal should not be entitled to a pension. There's too many Guyanese that are punishing out there for him to be entitled to a pension. So that's something that we need to push for. And with the U.S.
Go ahead, sir.
With the U.S. Secretary of State coming into Guyana for a 4-hour visit, I would say this. It's not just the Darmlal situation. It's not just that one iron that we have in the fire. We have many, many other irons in the fire with the inhumane treatment that Guyanese have been receiving from this government, the marginalization, they're not treated with respect. You would have bulldozed people in Mocha. I hope he's aware of the things that are occurring in Guyana. The same thing at Hillfoot. These things need to be brought up. I don't know to the extent that he's meeting with the opposition, but I think it's very unfair for him to just meet with the government and not meet with the opposition, because I think it's the opposition that will really speak on behalf of the Guyanese people. If he does not meet with the opposition, the voices of the Guyanese people will not be heard unless we protest him.
All right. And I do think that there are some folks as well, because there are lots of Guyanese who are very active and Guyanese who are serious, not who are just there to play a little game and play and spin and score little cookie points and them nonsense. Serious-minded Guyanese have been asking the State Department whether they will meet with serious-minded individuals of the opposition, not showboats, but serious individuals who understand the struggle. And so that we will continue, or the folks will continue to call the State Department and ask whether they will be meeting with serious opposition members of Parliament. Ms. Washington, you're not surprised at all that Blinken is visiting Guyana. I've noticed a lot of people are asking why. But before we get to that, I noticed that there is this article by you in the Village Voice, opinion regarding Nigel Darmlal investigation and public failure to charge and prosecute, something you dealt with earlier and you have been dealing with for days now. But what is your take on U.S. Secretary of State's visit to Guyana?
I have held a slightly different opinion from that which I heard Mr. Lewis mentioned. I do know that they would not want to have a protest, when we have the visit by the Secretary of State. They wouldn't want the people to be coming there and protesting this particular issue. But whether or not Blinken would have an opinion on an issue as it relates to the people in Guyana, as it relates to prosecuting a public official, I have my doubts because of the whole issue of sovereignty. A country is deemed sovereign, and whatever issues the country is facing, unless it's a blatant human rights violation, and then in that instance, you'd have the UN or, there are other organizations specifically geared to that. But as it relates to Blinken's visit, He's doing a very, very short visit and for very specific issue. And it's rare that these officials will, deviate from the course or from the purpose of their visit to discuss another issue that has nothing to do with the purpose of their visit or nothing to do with their concern. Because this is a matter that it relates to the laws and how the laws are properly enforced, and whether or not the DPP is doing their job, and whether or not the police is doing their job, and whether or not the government of Guyana is taking the correct steps to ensure that the public is properly protected from, in this case, a pedophile, because this involved somebody directly related to the PPP government. So whether or not Blinken would get himself involved in discussing something which is directly sovereign to the people of Guyana, to the head of states of Guyana, I'm not sure that he would, even agree to engage that type of discussion. A lot of times these officials finds a way to avoid answering questions that they know very well they have no business delving into, because it's peculiar and there's an issue called sovereignty of a particular country that he has no business getting involved in. He's there for whatever his business is, and I believe he's going to stick to that. But I think it would be embarrassing, yes, to the PPP to have people show up wherever the Blinken is going to be and start protesting and yelling, Dharamlal must go, Dharamlal must go. So obviously, I think they move expeditiously in that regard to get Dharamlal out of government before he comes. But I don't think Blinken is going to have a view one way or the other as to whether or not Dharamlal should have been charged and whether or not he should have been sitting in public office in the first place.
All right, Ms. Shella in Washington there. We are getting reports that Dharamlal, reports, mind you, that suggest that his U.S. visa has once again been pulled. We are going to confirm on that, but in the meantime, if Dharamlal wants to state publicly, because he has a loud mouth about everything on his Facebook page, he should let the public know whether he was notified by the U.S. State Department through the Guyana embassy that his visa has once again been revoked. As we look at program time, we want to give folks that opportunity, those who are celebrating their 4th of July in the U.S., mind you, because I know in Guyana they're celebrating 4th of July also. In Guyana, we celebrate every single thing, including George Washington Day. Mr. Lincoln Lewis, here is your opportunity, please, for your closing remarks.
Let me say that as a people, we have to remain vigilant. Vigilant at every front. We cannot just stick on one issue. We have to deal with all the issues that challenges us every day. I am happy to know that while I am in Guyana, my comrades who are in the United States, like Shalon and others, yourself, is that you be good ambassadors out there for us. We all have to hold hands and thoughts, and we have to fight together. I call on every Guyanese to stand up for the protection and advancement of rights of all the citizens of this country. I'm happy to know that I've been able to share the platform with my comrades, and Caesar and Shalon and yourself, and to the viewers. Thanks very much for your comments. We all are in it together. We have to prevail. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lincoln Lewis, veteran trade unionist. We are all in this together. This is not about one person popping up on the scene and getting vexed because they may get to talk and they may get pictures. It is childish, it's infantile politics. It is not about that. I agree with Lincoln. We are all in this together. I want Ms. Shellen Washington to have that last word. So the next person is Mr. Caesar. Mr. Caesar, I know you've had a busy day like everybody else. Yes. And I just want to, face-to-face say a belated birthday greetings to your mom. And I know you guys have had a wonderful time a couple of days ago with her birthday. And of course, 4th of July with you and the family as well. Your closing remarks, please, sir.
Yeah, Mark, before I get to my closing remarks, I just want to again thank you and our listeners and viewers for the pour out of love that I saw towards my mother. I just want to thank everyone. You know, you guys are all just awesome. And like Mr. Lewis would have just said, we are all one family. My closing remark, Mark, is, you know, first of all, again, happy Independence Day to you and Shalon, and even to our fellow Guyanese brothers and sisters. You know, when you look at independence, it's every human being, yearns in this world to be free. You know, it's a fundamental human right, you know. And, in this nation, in America here, citizens consider independence to be one of their most valuable holding. And for us to be able to celebrate independence as freely as we can here in the United States, I would like to see my brothers and sisters in Guyana be able to experience that same fundamental human right, the right to be free, the right to be able to speak, the right to be able to assemble without being interfered, assemble peacefully, because that's what I've been seeing for the most part, and the ability to live free, less government interference, especially what we've been experiencing of late, the last 3 years under this dictatorship. So in my closing remarks, Mark, I just want to see better for my brothers and sisters in Guyana, and we are fighting this good fight, and we are on the front foot here, and we are not retreating. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Caesar. We appreciate it always, as always, your time. And again, I want to echo what Lincoln just said, that we are all in this together. Nobody's better than the other. This is not a show. This is not a pop up and talk for the microphone and disappear. We've got to be sincere in this struggle. We've got to be committed in this struggle. This is not a selfie struggle. This is a we struggle. Miss Washington, as always, it's a pleasure to have you. And I know you take time out of your busy schedule, your family, your church, and your law firm to be here with us to talk about the issues affecting all Guyanese. You've been on point with this particular issue, as you have with other issues, but more so recently with the Dharamlal rape allegations. We see how worked up you have been over the past couple of weeks, and rightly so, just like everyone else. He has resigned from both his positions as Member of Parliament and the Minister of Local Government. Please, your closing remarks, Ms. Washington.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you to all your listeners out there. Thanks to all the viewers, all of you who shared the live tonight and you commented. And like I said, just know that I always read your comments. I might not say something, but sometimes I learn a lot just from reading. And I want to say also thanks to Mark, because I did watch Mark's show last night, and I must say it was a pleasure to sit there and listen to the show last night and to listen to Mark being interviewed. He was in the other seat last night, and I think he did a wonderful job with the questions and his views on things. And we can see a lot of things that Mark say once it gets out there, the PPP, they act on it. We see changes just from keeping this type of show going. We're seeing changes, and that's what a democracy is about. It's about the people of Guyana being able to express their views, and if things are not going the way they want it to go, if the country is not being run the way they want to see it, they must be able to speak on it and to have the leaders correct themselves. And if the leaders refuses to correct themselves, those leaders has to go. And I'm grateful again for shows shows like this that we were able to come, all of us, even the people in Guyana who were protesting, and the pressure continued. We even seen on this show, so we know the PPP is watching. We know they're paying attention to what Mark is saying, because the other night we saw Priya Manik Chan came up here and she was trying to make comments, but we see the same tactic that we've always been seeing by the PPP. They try to bully you. They try to threaten you that they're going to do this or they're going to do that. And I don't think that they understand when you hold a public office, you're held to a certain standard, and the people have a right to criticize you. They have a right to tell you how to do your job because they hired you. The PPP has to remember that they're hired by the people of Ghana. They are not the ones who put themselves there. Well, that I might want to correct myself on that, because we know for 23 years it couldn't be that the people of Ghana has always been putting them there. But the bottom line is, if they're there, they have to recognize that the people of Ghana still own them. They have to do what you tell them to do. And if we ask for Dharam Lal to go, that's exactly what should have happened in the beginning, because the PPP is well aware that they have a pedophile in high places. They put pedophiles in high places. So Dharam Lal had to come down, and he must remain down. And you got to be vigilant to ensure that he doesn't get a pension, he doesn't get anything, but he stays away from any public office or from getting any benefit that the people of Ghana's money would be paying for. Once again, I want to say thank you. Thanks for the overwhelming support that I always receive from all of you out there, the referrals, all of that. I think at some point I'm going to start taking the names of all these people who keep referring, and I'm going to give you a shout out at some point on this show. But the names are so numerous, guys. I want to say thank you so much. My office is at 455 Utica Avenue, as you can see there on the card, and the office number is 718-877-3100, and you can see the areas that I specialize in. Thank you so much, guys, for all the love, all the support. I appreciate you guys, and I love you. For those of you who are celebrating the 4th of July with me, I hope that you had a wonderful 4th of July, and God bless you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you so much, Ms. Washington. Thank you, Mr. Caesar. Thank you, Comrade Lincoln Lewis. And Comrade Lincoln Lewis is on the ground. He has attended a couple of those protests as well, always lending his support to almost everything as it pertains to justice in Guyana. Thank you so much also, Lincoln, for all of your contributions here in Guyana. Folks, go out and support the Village Voice. Support the Village Voice newspapers. Lincoln, thank you so much again. And give my regards to all those who are in the struggle there in Guyana. Norris Whitted, tell him it was good to see him on the protest line yesterday, and others. Caesar, thank you. Miss Washington, thank you as well. God bless you all.
Good night.
Good night, Mark. Good night, everyone.
All right, so the breaking news story, you got it here, that Dharam Lal has been out. Dharam Lal has been kicked out by the PPP. He has been kicked out. He has been kicked out. He's gone. Kicked out, kicked like a football, dashed in the rubbish bin. But as Lincoln Lewis said, that's not the end of it. They're going to find something to give him because he's going to have to eat, right? According to the PPP and according to some of them who joined the PPP, he's going to have to eat. You don't want a situation, and that situation could very well be that he gets back into wearing what he started, slippers, rubber slippers, right? Dharam Lal, we're hearing that he was asked to resign or whatever. He is no longer a minister. He is no longer a member of parliament. He is done with. He is gone, done with, finished with, gone. But we have seen before some of them. We thought that they were gone, and then they were posted into other positions. I will tell you guys right now, I have $13. Where is it? $13 right now. Let me take it out and show you guys how serious I am. $13 that they're going to send him to India as Guyana's High Commissioner to India. Hear what they do. They send the garbage over there. When Ronald Gadrad was forced to resign as the Minister of Home Affairs after serious allegations of being part of death squads and killing people in Guyana. Ronald Gadraj, the US revoked his visa. The Canadians revoked his visa. The British revoked his visa. And guess where he ended up? Ronald Gadraj ended up in India as Guyana High Commissioner to India. I don't know what he was doing there, whether he formed that squad and was killing people there too. But he was very silent. He was, of course, he had to pack his bag after the coalition got into office in 2015. And then he kicked the bucket. He died. So he is wherever he is right now. Sorry about that. Sorry, but he is wherever he is right now. And then the other guy who corrupt the entire parliament, he sat there and he was the biggest welfare recipient. That is Charam Das. He sat there like a real Judas. And then on that night of the 18th or 17th of December, he pushed his hand up and he crowed. He betrayed all those people who allowed him, because a Nima Karam, a Katahar, a Korhi, like Charam Das would have never been a member of parliament in no time or age. But because you, the people, gave the coalition that opportunity, and of course the AFC submitted his name. I don't know why, but they submitted his name. And he sold them out. He sold the people out. That Judas. But guess what? At the end of the day, guess what the PPP did with that garbage? They sent that garbage to India as Guyana High Commissioner. As the people of Belladrum and some other places, or even Linden, they would say, Guyana High Commissioner. And while he was there in India, you guys remember how he behaved, right? Please, if you don't like cursing and these sort of things, cark your ears. This is how that garbage Charam Das behaved in India as the PPP's High Commissioner.
Are you any better?
No.
You're throwing out a helpless dog?
What helpless dog? I don't need a dog in my yard, all right? You want a dog, take it, put it between your legs.
You little bastard.
No, you probably want the dog to fuck you. That's what you want. I don't care. I don't care who you are.
I don't care who the hell you are.
Fuck you.
Yeah, dekha.
Now listen to me.
You're drunk.
Don't let any woman come in my yard.
You're bloody drunk.
Hello. You like the camera?
You don't understand English. Speak in Hindi. Chalo, tum chalo.
Good. So you guys heard it there, right? That was him. That was him. Garbage in, garbage out. Ronald Gadraj was garbage in India and garbage out in 2015. That Nima Karam, that Katahar, that Chota. Yeah, Chota. You guys know what Chota is? Let me see how many of you guys know what Chota is, right? That Chota was sent packing. That Chota was sent packing. Shame on the PPP. So don't be surprised. Again, $13. Don't be surprised of the announcement that Dharam Lal will be heading to India as Guyana's High Commissioner. Just like Gadraj went backtrack to India, Dharam Lal will have to go backtrack to India as well. Don't be surprised if the British don't allow him into their territory, neither the Canadians. And so, hey, guess what? All right. So Blinken is heading to Guyana on Thursday, right? I'm not sure if he's meeting with the opposition, but we need to hear. And by tomorrow, definitely, I'll give you a response from that, whether U.S. Secretary of State Blinken will be meeting with sensible, and I repeat, sensible members of the opposition. Sensible members, not those who are out to just score little likes and, enough of those selfie kind of politicking. Enough of that. We need hard-working people on the ground, hard-working members of parliament on the ground. We have seen a few of those women. Lurleen Nesta, Simona Brooms. We have seen Nigel London. Annette Ferguson joined them as well, right? We have seen General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform. We have seen them. Don Hastings Williams, Member of Parliament and Roysdale Ford Senior Counsel. We have seen these people on the ground. Ganesh Mahipal. We have seen them. We don't need a hit and run. We need consistency. But what we've been seeing with Lurleen Nesta, and Simona Brooms, and Nigel London, and so forth, is consistency. They're not there for the likes. They're not there for the selfies. They're not there to complain who is allowed to speak and who cut off who thing and who this and who that. That is nursery school politics. It is BS. Well, I'll be touching on that on some other time. But for now, when I get off this program, I gotta drink a glass of wine for this success story. And the village was able to ensure that this becomes a success story in ensuring that Nigel Dharamlal is no longer the minister, no longer gets taxpayers' money. And even if he goes to India as Guyana's High Commissioner to India, we are going to go in India and we are going to protest in India. When he is in Delhi, we will protest and ask that he be removed. He should not even be going to India. We will go. We will sing Chautal. We will sing Chutney. We will sing everything. Everything. And we will say to the Indian government, why you are do with a cha market buy? Why you do with him? He not fit to go in the market, much less to sit there as Guyana High Commissioner to India. That Katahar, that Chamar, that Chota, that Tere Kabur, Nanika Choror, you know what I mean? That big Katahar, that Lungira. Let me stop this evening. But one more thing before I go. What about the DPP? What about the DPP? The DPP should not be allowed to sit there in office again. The protest should continue in front of her office. Every single day, the DPP must go until she resigns. She is a shame and a disgrace for the position that she holds there. She has violated not only that little girl, she has violated the entire country once again. The DPP must go. DPP must go. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. What about this guy? What about this guy? We cannot sit and allow this guy to be there as a commander any longer. Cannot. Look at what the DPP did in the case against Bascom. How quickly she rushed to charge, recommend that this, Dion Bascom, Detective Sergeant Bascom, how quickly she rushed for him to be charged. Oh, let him charge. Let this cop be charged, right? Look how quick she did that. In order to protect her friends, Azruddin Mohammed and those other individuals who are on the radars of U.S. law enforcement agencies for money laundering, gold smuggling, assassination, terrorism, you name it. These are her friends. They are her friends. And are we going to sit quietly and not say anything about the acting commissioner of police? He must go as well. He will be going at the end of this month, I hope, but he has to go sooner than that. He must go. Shame on the entire regime. Shame on these vagabonds. And speaking of these vagabonds, one more thing, or maybe two more things before I go. But if you're now joining us, breaking news. Nigel Dharamlal resigned, forced to resign, fired by the people of Guyana. Not by Irfan Ali, not by those corrupt racist guys, Irfan Ali and Jack Dale, but Nigel Dharamlal was fired by the people of Guyana. Meanwhile, some of them are still sleeping on the issue. And while they're sleeping, they have jumped out of their sleep. They are sleepwalking and sleep talking. They say, let the system work. Throw back, don't say anything, don't do anything. Let the system work. You know, like those ghost movies? Let the system work. Give me a break. All the world sleeping. But this woman, Shalimar Haq, the director of public prosecution, has to go. As the people in Belladrum would say, has to go. She has to go. She has to go. But hey, I know I said one more thing. This guy, senior counsel Ralph Ramkaran, is saying here, criminal justice system in state of collapse. Now Ramkaran knows this. Ramkaran should have known this when he was Speaker of the National Assembly. It was already collapsing. It was already collapsing. But while it was collapsing, this guy, Ramkaran, and his law firm, they were making hundreds of millions of dollars. State funds to represent the state, the PPP, but it wasn't collapsing then. Parliament wasn't collapsing when he was Speaker of the National Assembly, and the opposition barely got in something, some motion passed, barely. But suddenly, he's no longer making hundreds of millions of dollars in the PPP. He's no longer Speaker of the National Assembly. He's out. Whether he was kicked out of the PPP or not, he's out. And suddenly, he knows that the system, the justice system, in a state of collapse. He didn't know that when people were wrongfully incarcerated with treason. He didn't know that. He didn't know that when a particular person spent 5 years in solitary confinement on a trumped-up treason charge. He didn't know that the system was corrupt and it was collapsing then. He didn't know when a woman by the name of Carol Ann Monroe and her husband Bruce Monroe and another Army officer spent over 1 year in prison on trumped-up treason charges. He didn't know that. He didn't know that the system was on the verge of collapse then. No, he didn't know that because he was enjoying himself. But suddenly, he knows that the system, the justice system, something is wrong. Something is wrong with these people. Something is definitely wrong with these people. I've got to go now. And if the protest continues tomorrow, we will carry it right here on 107.1 FM. Those strong women on the ground. Strong women. Not those who pomposette themselves as leaders, so-called leaders. Strong women who believe in the people, who love the people, who understand the struggle. Kudos to those women. We know who they are. And we know who the fake ones are, pretending to be leaders or want to be leaders. We know who those fake people are. We're not going to be intimidated by those fake so-called leaders. Sorry, I thought I had my hair in the salon and my makeup and thing was melting. God bless you all, and God bless our beautiful nation. And to all of you, happy Independence Day. 4th of July, happy Independence Day. Love you guys. God bless you. So long.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness.
So, a pleasant solution to the flag of the United States of America, and to republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Have a great day, everyone. So, a pleasant solution to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Have a great day, everyone.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop.